the boxes hoax against Trump, Trump's attack on Biden, the DOJ's double standard. Are they real?
Today we witness the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country. Very sad thing to watch. A corrupt sitting president had his top political opponent arrested on fake and fabricated charges of which he and numerous other presidents would be guilty.
Trump is accused of improperly taking, hiding, and lying about classified documents. His defense from the beginning, that it's a non-story, that the documents amounted to nothing, that the Biden administration is out to get him, and besides, Biden did the exact same thing.
Joe Biden had troves of classified documents from his time as vice president and even as a senator, which was completely and totally illegal.
So today, a side-by-side comparison, because Donald Trump's accusations are based in some truth. There is an ongoing investigation into why Joe Biden took classified documents. We should be asking how sensitive those documents were, and why did he store them at home?
Yet nothing happens to Crooked Joe. Nothing happened. Have you heard anything about the big search for his documents? No, only me.
Okay, so let me just, let's open this up here. I'm just gonna log in here. Stand by. So this was from a rally, a speech that Trump was giving in Georgia just a few days ago.
By the way, Biden's got 1,850 boxes. He's got boxes in Chinatown, D.C. He's got boxes all over the place. He doesn't know what the hell to do with them, and he's fighting them on the boxes. He doesn't want to give the boxes. And then they say, Trump is obstructing. He's obstructing. No, it's a sad, sad day for the country. Think of it, 1,850 boxes he had. Mine is peanuts.
Okay, so there's a lot there, right? But this is something that he's repeated over and over again. And, you know, this clip pretty well sums up Trump's point of view. You know, it hits all the bases on why the U.S. Department of Justice is being hypocritical, pursuing very serious national security charges against him, but not against Biden. So let's break this down line by line.
By the way, Biden's got 1,850 boxes.
Okay, so Trump is talking about roughly 1,850 boxes of documents, and it's actually a little more than that Joe Biden is keeping at his alma mater, the University of Delaware. Now, what Trump doesn't mention is that Biden donated these documents more than 10 years ago. They all date back to when Joe Biden was a senator. And this is perfectly normal, perfectly legal. According to Senate rules, the records created and maintained within a senator's office are the property of the senator. It goes on to say, most senators donate their collections to a research repository in their home state when they leave office. There's even a published list of these donated congressional collections and where they're stored. The law that applies to Trump, however, is very different. The United States shall reserve and retain complete ownership, possession, and control of presidential records. Translation, they're not his to keep, and certainly not after he's left office. But what about the sensitivity of these documents? Well, let's start with Biden's 1,850 boxes. The FBI wanted to know, so it took a look.
The FBI has searched the University of Delaware.
They searched the university twice with Biden's consent. The initial word back, according to several media outlets,
some materials were taken to be further reviewed, but those materials do not have classified markings.
So that's a big difference to keep in mind. Classified versus non-classified. In Trump's case, we know from the indictment that he was holding classified documents about U.S. nuclear capability as well as attack and defense plans. Biden's boxes, you know, everything to date suggests they were just senatorial paperwork. Let's continue the clip.
He's got boxes in Chinatown, D.C. He's got boxes all over the place. He doesn't know what the hell to do with them.
Okay, so there is some truth here. You know, separate from the 1,850 boxes Trump keeps talking about, Joe Biden did have classified documents in his possession from his time as vice president. That's actually how this whole investigation got started.
The breaking news that we're following, classified government documents found inside one of President Biden's private offices.
In January, one of Biden's lawyers was cleaning out one of his old offices when he found some papers marked classified. Media reports say there were 10 of them. They were immediately turned over to the Department of Justice, and because they were serious in nature, U.S. intelligence materials and briefing memos about Ukraine, Iran, the UK, the FBI wanted to know what else might be out there. Now, sometimes you'll hear Trump talking about Biden's garage.
Still other classified documents were strewn all over his garage floor, where his now famous Corvette is stored. He's so proud of that car.
The FBI did find more in Biden's garage. They actually did a full search of his home, turning up more than a dozen additional classified documents. Now, we don't know what those documents were about, but was this embarrassing for Joe Biden? Yeah. Did he screw up? Was he wrong? Absolutely.
Classified material next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
But I should point out another key difference here between Trump and Biden. In Biden's case, there was never any subpoena, no search warrant through any of it, because Biden consented to every search.
The difference here is cooperation, and Biden, Donald Trump, the argument goes, could have ended this problem for himself by simply complying, by returning all the documents. He opted not to do that. He created problems for himself. And regardless of whether he's ultimately guilty here, that means there is a difference between these cases.
And this is important, as you'll see here.
And he's fighting them on the boxes. He doesn't want to give the boxes. And then they say, Trump is obstructioning. He's obstructing.
So this, experts say, is the most important part of any comparison you ever want to make between Trump's and Biden's case. The difference is that Biden gave the documents back. The majority of criminal charges Donald Trump now faces have to do with the willful retention of classified documents. 31 of 37 counts. The others have to do with the lengths Trump went, according to the indictment, to hide those documents from the FBI and the DOJ. Mike Pence got busted for having classified documents too. Here he was last week on a conservative radio show.
I had my records examined. We found that there were some classified documents that have made their way back into my personal records. We fully cooperated with the Justice Department. I took full responsibility, and I'm pleased the Justice Department concluded that investigation last week. I found that it was an innocent mistake, but it was a mistake.
The difference is, and why President Biden will not likely be charged in the same way that Vice President Pence wasn't charged, and Trump, who was charged, is that once it was discovered that they inadvertently took documents, Trump resisted returning them and then engaged in a scheme to obstruct the DOJ's efforts to get them back.
And to underline this point, the classified documents that Trump did willingly hand over, those aren't a factor in these charges. That's all finished with. The only criminal charges Trump faces relate to documents he didn't hand over when asked. So, what's the conclusion here?
No, it's a sad day for the country. Think of it, 1,850 boxes he had. Mine is peanuts.
Well, all things considered, it may very well be a sad day for the U.S., but Trump's comparison here is factually wrong. The 1,850 boxes he keeps talking about, as far as we can tell, they weren't classified, and they're just donated paperwork from Biden's time as a senator. Trump's boxes of documents being peanuts? No way. Besides containing sensitive military, nuclear, and intelligence data, Trump is accused of knowing this stuff was classified, knowing that he shouldn't have had it, and holding on to it not just after leaving office, but even showing it to other people. The case against him, the first time a former US president has ever faced federal charges.
There are 37 counts of criminal acts that are in the indictment. Each count, people should understand that each count brings its own potential penalties. So it's not, obstruction of justice could get you up to 20 years in prison. There are multiple allegations of obstruction of justice. Any one of them could get him up to 20 years in prison. In theory, he could be spending hundreds of years in prison.
Biden's case, while there are similarities, is just fundamentally different. Now, the investigation into Biden is still ongoing, yes. So there may be fallout. We don't know. But where things stand today, and the former president's classification of it, apples to oranges.